Hello, everybody. This is Troy. We'll get started with the webinar at this time. Give me a quick systems check here. Just type OK in the chat box if you're hearing me clearly and seeing my screen all right. Just waiting on a few more responses. Type OK in the chat box if you're hearing me clearly. I want to make sure the majority of everyone who's logged in is doing OK. Okay, great. I've got enough responses. Looks like we're up and running fine. So a lot of movement today in the markets. China, again, is driving the movements, which in turn helps cryptos to move. And we'll talk a little bit about how that could work and why. As we get going, we'll look at the fundamentals behind it a bit, see what the fundamentals are in general with the crypto market, and then we'll find some entry points on the charts that make sense for some opportunities to go after some potential profits. Now, keep in mind some things as we move forward. Obviously, all investments have risk. Nobody is ever guaranteeing you or shouldn't be guaranteeing you that you're going to profit on any one trade. The same is true with CFD trading, trading Forex, options, spread betting. No one move is guaranteed to profit. And we obviously understand that a certain percent of people don't develop a winning strategy and aren't able to beat the spreads and the swaps over time and gradually lose their funds. And that's the whole idea of being here, not to take anything we cover as financial advisement, but from an educational perspective, for us to go over some ideas, strategy-wise and informational-wise, to give you tools to hopefully help you be the third or so of traders that trade with us that in the long term make profits. And so the idea here is to add some tools to your tool belt, to gain some knowledge and some ideas on how to improve your trading strategy, or if you're brand new to things, how to build a trading strategy that makes sense to you, and that from a risk management perspective, you understand what you're doing, and as you're taking trades, either buying or selling, you know exactly what you're getting into and why you're taking moves. Declan, you're asking how many people are watching the webinars. It varies from webinar to webinar. I think we had a couple hundred registrants that we're expecting to show up to this webinar. Some show up late, some show up on time, but we've got a good number as we're getting started here. Okay, so as we're moving forward, obviously keep those things in mind. And we can take a look quickly at the demo account and see the technicals on the live movements, and then we can move forward and talk about what we think will happen next based on the fundamental news and the technical analysis. So real quickly, I'm just looking at 1 hour candles and something jumps out to me right away. I see an old resistance level right here, resistance, 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 and then a breakthrough, and that became support, support, support. Okay, it's classic technical analysis where an old resistance level becomes a support level. And it's give or take a little. It's not an exact mark. You see the wicks dipped a little below the old resistance but went right back up. And so it's more of an art than a science, but you can see resistance here, resistance, 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 and you see that flipped and became support, support, support. And I actually could drag this line down just a little bit, right about there. Okay, old resistance becomes new support within a small range, and that range would be what I call maybe your strike zone of where if you're using a stop loss, you don't have it too close. You get beyond those wicks. If you were trading up from the support in this case, you'd get beyond all of these wicks to have your stop loss below those, and you see in this case you'd have been safe. If you were trading up off this support, you'd be in profit right now. Okay, simple technical analysis, resistance level, give or take some points, back on top, support level, give or take that distance of these wicks. Okay. Now, and that's the idea of not having your stop loss too close. If you're using a stop loss to avoid false signals where it's still testing, in this case, the support before deciding to bounce up like it did a bit. Okay. Type okay if you're with me so far that the simple technical analysis here shows a basic resistance area followed by it flipping once it had this breakthrough candle becoming support. Okay. Now the question is, and by the way, if we look at some of these others in terms of the other cryptocurrencies, right now this is Bitcoin. We can look at Ethereum. It looks similar. Support level down here. Okay, bouncing off of a support level. Not exactly the same, but similar. If we look at Ripple, same thing. Okay, that one looks even more similar to Bitcoin. The old resistance, breakthrough becomes support, and support. Okay, very similar setup. And if we look at the Crypto 10 index, which is the top 10 cryptos, we'll see it sets up the same way because it's the top 10 cryptos by volume traded. And so it's going to mimic those top cryptocurrency movements: resistance, breakthrough, support, a little bit of a breakthrough and back above that support. Okay. And with this, again, I might cheat that down a little. And there's our new support, and a bounce. Okay. And you could vary this as you're trading, what you plan to do. And, there are a couple things you could do, right? Just technical analysis wise, we could be saying, well, if this breaks this support level, I sell. If you're doing pure technical analysis, what's the pending order that would sell if it breaks this support? If your entry point was down here, what pending order would sell from a lower point? And you could do this on Bitcoin because it's set up really nice, or Ethereum. Ripple actually set up just as nice as Bitcoin, or with the Crypto 10 here. Yeah, it's a sell stop. Good. Many of you are already typing it. Sell stop if you think it will break the support, right? If you think there's reason for it to plummet. If you think there's reason for this to climb, well, then you could do a market move right now, right? You could do a market move. You wouldn't have to do a pending order. You could do both, obviously, as well. You could do the market move, have your stop loss below the support. If it breaks the support, you get out on your buy, admit maybe you were wrong, and you could get in on a sell. Okay? There's no reason why you have to stick with just one direction, unless you have a reason, right? Which maybe we'll come up with one here in a little bit, looking at the fundamental news. If you believe in the buy on this, well, the ceiling's pretty high. It's up here. Here's your resistance level, give or take a little, resistance, right back down. So clearly you could, if you believe in the buy, you could look at this to rise up near 2,200 before you would think about selling. Okay, that's with the Crypto 10. That's quite a rise. Okay, if we're looking at Bitcoin, okay, it sounds like a bigger number, right? Because if we look at Bitcoin, let's look. Here's the resistance up here. If you're deciding to set up a sell stop in case it breaks the support, it's just an idea. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. You can set up a sell stop in case it breaks the support, meaning maybe it has enough momentum to keep dropping then. And you could do a market buy because it's on top of the support right now. And if you did a market buy, it sets up the same as that Crypto 10 resistance level up here. Resistance. Maybe you get out around 7,575 or so. That means that's a rise of almost 200 points. Let's say 180 points from where it is now. Okay, you could make quite a profit. On a one lot position, you're talking 10 coins. If it goes up 180, that's what, 1,800 USD potential profit, if that's what occurred. Obviously, again, no guarantee, but we're looking at, it was just how many hours ago that it was up here? 1, 2, 3 hours ago? It dropped nearly 200 points in 3 hours. It's on a major support level. The question is, do you think it's going to break the support or do you think it's going to bounce? Right? What do we need to look at maybe to get a better idea of which direction the wind is blowing, which direction you think this movement might go, whether you prefer to not do a market buy and wait for the support maybe to break, to do a sell stop, or maybe you prefer to do the market buy and forget about the sell stop. What do we need to look at? Ebert, you're first. Fundamental news. That's it. We need to look at the fundamentals to get a better idea of which way maybe you think this might go. Otherwise, you're just guessing, right? So let's look at the fundamental news. What's happening in the markets? Okay. This came out today. Bitcoin and altcoins possibly aligning for a key reversal. And when you go to read about it, they're talking about the fact it broke through resistance, right? It broke through the resistance level, which now should be support. That's what the article tells you. Okay. Here, Bitcoin price is showing positive signs above 7,400 resistance area, now above the support. Now the support. Okay. It's exactly what we just drew the line on, right? Above 7,400, it says. Let's look at the chart. It's at 7,422. So far, is that article correct? Did it hold above the resistance, the old resistance, which is now support at 7,400? It did, didn't it? It's still above. Okay. Yeah, Alex, maybe a Santa Claus rally is coming. Very, very well could be. So we've got confirmation on the chart, don't we? We've got confirmation on the chart that this support level is holding, as this article just told us at 7,400, the old resistance area, now support, seems to be holding. It tells you here. And then we just confirmed it on the chart. So it's not like this article is old news or off. It's right on, as a matter of fact, this article right now. Yeah, there's been some developments, Declan, positive developments in the markets with a lot of the Bitcoin industry. We've been showing it week by week. Big banks, retail outlets, it's becoming mainstreamed. You're talking about other things that have happened recently with Bitcoin that can help drive the price up. Absolutely. And it's good that you're keeping up on that news. Okay, so let's look at another article. Crypto market sentiment is finally showing signs of recovery. Is that in the direction of Bitcoin and the crypto 10 and the other crypto pairings going up or down? What does this headline that came out today give you? Is the wind blowing up or down? Crypto market sentiment is finally showing signs of recovery. Up. And the last article we looked at, this one, we just confirmed that it's correct. It did hold the support level. It is bouncing off 7,400 on Bitcoin. Okay, so we're just getting an idea. It doesn't mean it has to continue. Certainly something could cause it to reverse. But right now we're getting confirmation of what we see with the technical analysis from the headlines. Okay, from the breaking news. Here's the sentiment. Going up on Bitcoin, going up on Ethereum. Okay, we see over here percent change in the last 7 days. Up, 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 up for Ripple, Ethereum, Bitcoin. EOS is up. Binance Coin, okay? Some others not so much. But, you know, the ones that are showing positive sentiment are the strongest ones in the Bitcoin 10. They're traded in the highest volume. So the Bitcoin 10, or I'm sorry, not the Bitcoin 10, the crypto 10. The ones we just looked at that are showing the most signs of positive sentiment are the ones that are heavily weighted in the crypto 10 index. And we can see the index is mimicking Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, etc. Okay, the ones that were just listed there with the best sentiment. So we've got positive sentiment. We've got positive article here about the support level holding, and we've got confirmation on our technical analysis. What do we have here? We've got kind of mixed news on the economy. Why am I looking at regular economic announcements? Because most of these pairings are paired against the USD. And those of you who've been attending the crypto webinars for the past several months, what have the cryptos been mimicking? What have the cryptos been mimicking? Yeah, gold. Of all things, gold. They've been acting as safe havens. And you have to search for ideas. Well, why is that? One of the main reasons people believe that their cryptos have started to mimic gold is because they're not tied to any one economy. They are decentralized, just like gold. Brexit isn't going to cause Bitcoin to crash, right? Bad jobs numbers or an economic downturn in the U.S. isn't going to cause Bitcoin to crash because Bitcoin is not tied to one economy. It's decentralized, like gold is decentralized. Okay, so we see a connection there. It doesn't mean the cryptos always have to follow gold, but if you see a trend that seems to be happening more than not, trading's all about percentages. As we opened the webinar, we said you're never going to win every trade. No one trade is guaranteed to win, but it's about percentages. It's about finding a way to be right more than you're wrong, hopefully, or at least profit more than you lose. Okay, so looking at what's happening in the markets is important. A lot of good news came out of the European Union, some bad news out of Canada. It's kind of mixed. Some flat news out of the US. Okay, mixed news. That doesn't tell me gold should go flying up or down. So it really doesn't tell me much there. Let's look at some other articles. Wall Street treads water with tariff deadline in focus. What tariff deadline are they talking about? Between the US and who? Yeah, China. Exactly, China. I think pretty much everybody understands that that's what's driving the markets lately. Today, I saw NASDAQ, Dow Jones, S&P 500, some of the other indices in the European Union went flying up. Over the course of an hour, they went flying up. Why? Because, positive feel about US, China. And then all of a sudden, the next article created negative feel about US and China. Okay? So all of a sudden, what's the nervousness? Right here. Look where I'm highlighting. US-China trade they have planned tariffs to kick in on the 15th. The US does, to raise more tariffs on China. That's in less than a week, right? So earlier in the day, China, there was an article on the major web news websites saying China said they want to have a deal right away. And then boom, NASDAQ went flying through the roof. Everyone got excited. And then they start talking about, wow, there's a lot of fear because if they don't get a deal by the 15th, US is scheduled to raise tariffs more, which then there could be a market sell-off if that happens, if there's more tension between US and China, right? And I say could be, right? Could be the potential for it. So just the fear that the deadline's getting close, all of a sudden reversed the movement today. Okay, just to explain what's been happening. All of this was green earlier today. All the futures, everything was green. Now look, they're all red. So you get a quick feel here just by looking at this group of assets, these major indices and the dollar index. Is the sentiment positive or negative on the markets right now? Look at the color. Red, 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 red. Okay, the volatility index is the only one in green. Yeah, negative sentiment. When the only thing in green on this little snip of the market is the volatility index, the VIX, that shows fear, right? When the volatility index goes up, that shows fear on the markets, and everything else is red here. Look at it. That's live. It's a live feel of the market. Okay, so what direction do you think gold is most likely to start moving right now if this is what's going on? Fear index is up and everything in terms of indices is turning red. Yeah, gold might go up. And so if the cryptos have been mimicking gold, which way is the wind blowing for cryptos based on this snippet? Yeah, maybe Bitcoin up, right? No guarantee, obviously, but another thing that we're using to determine which way might we want to trade. So, all right, negative overall market sentiment. Fear is up. Where do people go when there's fear? Safe havens. Okay, so we've got that. We've got positive sentiment. First of all, we've got technical analysis confirmed with a support level and an article talking about it. We've got an article about positive sentiment with cryptos starting up. So we've got reasons for Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and the crypto index We've got reasons to believe they might hold above the support and climb. Again, there's no guarantee, right? We could be dead wrong. But this is what trading is. It's finding what's the fundamental news. What do I believe based on what I see? And you certainly can believe the opposite after looking at this information. If you think that means the crypto 10 will drop. And last week I had someone, after we went over all the fundamental news, and said it looks like it's supposed to maybe do this based on the fundamentals. He said, then I'll trade the opposite. Okay, he's a believer that maybe someone's manipulating the market and trying to trick people. Okay, if that's what you believe, you're more than welcome to do the opposite of what you think you should do. Okay, based on the fundamentals. Don't let me convince you which way to trade. I tend to go with the fundamental news. You don't have to. Okay, just to make that clear. All right, so we've got an idea of what direction maybe the fundamental news is telling us you might want to trade. So then we go to the platform and we say, do we have confirmation of that? Technical analysis, does it confirm that? And do we have an opportunistic entry point if we believe that we should buy up on the cryptos? Well, we already looked. The technicals show resistance level was broken through. It's holding as support and we're bouncing off the support. Okay. By the way, what's Bitcoin paired against here? And if there's tension between US and China with a deadline looming, what does that do typically for the strength of the USD if there's economic fear in the US? Yeah, many of you are saying that could cause the USD to weaken, which could help Bitcoin and other cryptos rise against it. Okay, I see the same thing. So market move here could make sense. You don't have a big distance to your stop loss. You could be wrong and not lose much. And if you're right, the climb to the recently established ceiling is about 3 or 4 times more than what you have to risk to be underneath that support level to your stop loss. This is what we call an opportunistic entry point based on technical analysis and going with maybe what you think the fundamental news says you should do. How much would you have made if you did this the last time it was on the support? Which was right here. You see that? Okay. The history shows you it certainly can happen, right? So that's a couple $100 rise per coin. It's even nice if you're scalping, that even if you only have 1 coin in your position size. If you have 2 coins, 3 coins, 5 coins, 10 coins, now you're really making something. Okay, take the trade size that's right for you, for your account. If you believe in the move, you certainly can trade whatever trade size is appropriate for you. And we can look at Ripple. Look how nice that sets up on the support. We can look at Litecoin, also on a support level and bouncing. Looks a little different, right? But here's your support level right here, support, 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 and it got near it, started bouncing. By the way, what helped the USD pull all of these cryptos down so much? Did you see the jobs numbers Friday for the US? Let me show you. Why did the US strengthen so much against the cryptos coming into today, coming out of last week? Let's look. Very easy to see it. Economic calendar. Let's go back to last week. Let me get the date here. No, oh, here we go. Let me click on the calendar. We'll go back to Friday. Which was the last day here, 8th, and I'll get there, excuse me. Start date, end date, let's get it. Start date. Ninth, end date. 9th, apply. There we are. Okay, so if we look at the numbers, That's today. What am I doing? One more try. One more try. Today's the 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th. And there it is. So what were the numbers last Friday? It was the non-farm payroll numbers came in. Look at the numbers, 266,000 jobs created in the U.S. The expectation was only 175,000 jobs, or I'm sorry, 186,000. And the non-farm payrolls were nearly 100,000, 80,000 jobs higher. The unemployment rate dropped lower from 3.6 to 3.5, lower than expected. The manufacturing payrolls increased more than expected. The average hourly earnings went up more than expected. So the USD did some strengthening, and that helped pull the cryptos down to an opportunistic spot now. If you believe that now the USD has reason to weaken again, and if you believe the cryptos have reason to strengthen. Okay, so that data from Friday really helps set this up if you believe in a buy now. If you believe the USD has reason to weaken. Doesn't mean it has to happen, right? But it certainly is what helped create this opportunistic entry point. The fact the USD had great jobs numbers last Friday, okay? And so that's important. When you're looking at fundamental news, don't just look at today. Put the date, hopefully more efficiently than I added the new date. Put the date on the calendar and get yourself to the prior business day, which was last Friday, and you can see what was driving the USD to pull these cryptos down so much, in addition to the negative sentiment that cryptos had. Okay, and that helped gold come crashing down a bit as well on Friday. Alex, certainly the UK elections will play a role with movement, but you don't have to wait till then to trade. You certainly can trade in coordination with that as well, and also trade on opportunities that exist currently. You just maybe you're looking to do short term scalping, okay, in and out. And this movement only took 2 hours to get down. Look at the potential to, if it went back up the same way in 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay. All right. So, any questions so far? Comments? All right, great. So let's do something here. Let's pair Bitcoin against the Nasdaq. Okay. So Nasdaq led the way today. Nasdaq climbed right here. Okay, big climb up. You see, that was 1, 2, 3, 4 hours back. Big climb up. And at the same time, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours back, Bitcoin dropped. Nasdaq up, positive for the USD, right? USD strengthening, Nasdaq went up, right? Bitcoin dropped. Does it make sense? If Bitcoin's viewed as a safe haven, Nasdaq went flying up with what people thought was positive news, China saying they want to do a deal right away. Safe havens weakened, and if we're viewing Bitcoin as a safe haven, there it went down as the Nasdaq went up. And what do you think gold was doing as this was dropping? Yeah, exactly. Gold was also dropping today. We could put it side by side. You'd see it. You'd see as Bitcoin was dropping, as the crypto 10 was dropping, gold was also. So now we see Nasdaq went flying up, Bitcoin came flying down. Look, Nasdaq corrected completely. It came all the way back down in the last 4 hours to where it was before it went flying up. Did Bitcoin correct yet? Did Bitcoin correct back up as Nasdaq came back down? It didn't, did it? Bitcoin only went back up a little bit. So if you believe that when this went up, this came flying down, and now this came down, if you believe it's going to respond, then that's another reason why you might say this could go back up, because it did the opposite of what Nasdaq did earlier today. Nasdaq hit a high, Bitcoin hit a low. Okay, now Nasdaq came back down. Do we believe Bitcoin will go back up? or any of the other cryptos, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, the Crypto 10. Don't let me tell you which one to trade on, right? You can look at any of them. And many of them seem to be doing the same thing right now. So, yeah, good point, Alex. You're saying you notice that when NASDAQ goes up, gold goes down. Why? Because NASDAQ is where the riskier investors run to when they feel good about the economy and they're leaving the safe haven gold. Okay, when there's positive news on the markets, you tend to see the indices go up. People buy into that because they feel safe to do it. There's good positive news about US and China. So gold drops, they buy into the indices. Then what happened? Negative news came out, fear about the deadline coming on the 15th. You see NASDAQ come flying back down. And if we look at gold, we'll see that it climbed up some. And Bitcoin's trying to climb as well. Okay, so this is another thing. This dropping down so rapidly is another reason why you might believe this could climb back up, because when this went up, this went down. So this went down the full distance of the rise, this went down. This has not gone back up the full distance of the drop. Okay, so if they have an inverse relationship, which we see occurred already, this went all the way up, this went all the way down at the same time. So this went all the way back down. You might believe this should go all the way back up. Could be a reason why you believe that. Okay, let's pair Bitcoin against gold. Okay, what's gold starting to do? It hit, whoops, let me get rid of that line. Gold formed a support level. What tends to happen to gold when NASDAQ crashes down? NASDAQ just crashed down the last 3 or 4 hours. What tends to happen to gold when that happens? What do you believe based on the history? It tends to go up. Yeah, it doesn't have to, right? But again, trading's not about have to. It's about what do you believe will happen more often than not. Okay, if you believe that when NASDAQ crashes down, if gold didn't bounce up yet, that it's due to bounce up, then that's another reason to believe that gold should rise. Okay, is it respecting the support level? Support, 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 support. It is. It didn't break the support. NASDAQ came down the last 4 hours. Do you believe that gold should go up? If you do, then besides trading on cryptos, maybe you buy on gold. If you don't believe that, then obviously don't buy on gold. You certainly could put a pending order below the support in case it breaks it. Okay, and again, you can do both. You can believe that right now gold should go up and buy. You also can put a pending sell stop below this support just in case you're wrong, or not that you're wrong, but what could happen? New news could break, right? You could have more fundamental news break that was unexpected, and gold could break that support. And if it does, you could have your stop loss down here to get out of the buy and have a sell stop triggered below the support to get in on a sell. So a lot of times people try and be right. I always say, don't try and be right, try and be smart. Trade smart, meaning understand that at any moment, an article could break, a tweet could come out from Trump saying, US and China have a deal. What do you think would happen to gold? It would probably come rushing down, break the support, and keep dropping if that type of news came out. And you can't control that that might happen unexpectedly. So always be ready for the unexpected news with your trading plan. So right now, if you believe as the news sets now that gold should go up, then you buy. If you want to limit your risk, you could put your stop loss just below the support. And you also could prepare a sell stop in case the news changes. Ready to sell in case the support breaks. Why not? Right? You don't have to try and always be right. Like I said, trade smart, not right. All right, so if that's the case with gold, and if we believe gold has been mimicked, Bitcoin and the cryptos have been mimicking gold, if gold looks like it's due to rise, then maybe that's another reason why you believe Bitcoin should rise, the crypto 10 should rise, Ethereum should rise, etc. Okay? Any questions or comments? Yeah, exactly. Michelle, you certainly could put the same idea as we did with the gold. If you believe the current news is a buy, go ahead and buy. Put your sell stop below in case you're wrong. You could do the same thing here with Bitcoin, with the Crypto 10, with Ethereum, etc. Okay. You also could put a sell stop below the support, like we talked about earlier, in case your buy is wrong. Okay. Let's expand this back up. Let's look at 5-minute candles. If you want to use a pending order to buy, look what formed here. Let me show you. Look at this right here. You see old support, and this was a breakthrough to get below that support. And now resistance, resistance, resistance. I'm saying if you wanted to, you could do a market buy, right? You also could wait. Yeah, platinum mimics gold very much. Good question. Shinen, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Shenenye. Very perceptive. Platinum mimics gold many times. It's also viewed as a safe haven metal many times. And so you might see a relationship between platinum, good, I didn't mispronounce it too bad, between platinum and the cryptos as well. Good point. And silver also. Not as strong with silver though. And please don't look at copper. Copper tends to do the opposite. When industry's bad, safe havens rise, but copper's used so much in industry that it tends to drop when there's bad economic news. But silver, yeah, some. Not as sharply as gold as a safe haven, but silver also. Okay, so if you're waiting for confirmation before you buy right now, let's say you believe in the market news is good for crypto, bad for the USD right now, you believe in buying, maybe you wait until this resistance level gets broke. Look what just happened to this resistance level I drew. What happened to the resistance level I just drew? It's starting to break. Okay, so you might say if this resistance level I just drew in the 5-minute candles breaks, then you expect maybe a rise up to this ceiling up here that we drew. So it looks a little different on 5-minute candles, right? You can get confirmation. If you're thinking about buying on cryptos, you can get confirmation of a breakthrough on a smaller candle resistance before you do it. Why is this resistance breaking? Why is that resistance breaking? As we watch, it's breaking. Why? Why was it that we're talking for the most part about sentiment being up? Buy, 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 right? And look, it's breaking. It's breaking the resistance. Why is that? Fundamental news, right? No, not because I said, Alex. I wish. If it was because I said, that's great. But why is it that in these webinars, as we're looking and talking about it, it tends to happen more times than not in the direction we're talking about? Why? Because we're including what with our technical analysis? Exactly. Fundamental news. We're using the fundamental news to be in our favor. And so it's going in the direction we're talking. If you're scalping, guess what? You could have already been out of this with a profit, right? You could already be out, especially if you traded up. When we started the webinar, this movement was down here. The movement was down here when we started the webinar. We've been going for 40 minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It was down here at 74.15. Now we're at 74.33. We might have already beat the spread, right? We're already moving into profit potentially. So listen, you do what you think is best. Don't do because I was saying the fundamental news says this, or because I drew a line here or there. I want you to make a move and predict breakthroughs like this based on the technical analysis, what you see in the technical analysis, and what you believe from the fundamental news. Walter, there's no guarantee, right? There's no guarantee that if there's a market crash, cryptos will go up. But we do see, in general, a relationship the past few months between gold and cryptos. So start watching it. Start watching. When you see the NASDAQ go flying up and gold coming down, look at the cryptos and see what's going on. See if you see a relationship yourself. without me telling you that we've seen one in these webinars. We saw one today. We just looked at it. They're moving together today, gold and the cryptos. Okay. So seeing is believing many times. And if you see it enough and you believe it enough, trade on it, right? Not because someone else told you, but because you see it. All right. Very good. All right. If anyone has any questions, comments, now's the time. I think we'll end things here. We've been going a good 40 minutes plus. I think it's enough. We've looked at enough of what's happening with these cryptos to get an idea of understanding why this bounce keeps getting bigger off the support that we're looking at. All right, everybody, you're very much welcome. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your attendance. We'll be going tomorrow. Let's see, 1 p.m. GMT time, and then Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. GMT time. You're very much welcome to attend those webinars as well. And then we'll be back at it evening time this time next Monday. Okay, bye for now. Have a good rest of the day or evening, depending where you are in the world.